K-12 and our programs, and then I have a little short presentation to present to all of you, and then we will go ahead and open up for questions and answers. So lots of time for that. So I hear all your questions. We're a startup, so we're brand new, and I'm sure there's lots of questions about our virtual teaching. So that being said, as far as kind of a little bit about us, but good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you are in the country. But my name is Katie. I'm the Director of Recruiting here with Elevate K-12. We are an education technology company specializing in providing virtual teachers to K-12 schools that we partner with in 27 different states. We just added 2 more states this month, so we're very excited about that. We are currently have over 1,000 different programs, and we're supporting over 50,000 students at this time. So we are still in a very high growth startup phase and only 7 years old as a company. And then we've designed a proprietary platform called Elevate Live for our virtual teachers to use, irrespective of their zip codes or where they're located. So you can be virtually anywhere in the world as long as you have a U.S. business, business hours that you can work and a decent internet connection. Our virtual teaching jobs are all part-time, or you can set your own schedule to work between 1 to 5 hours per day, up to 30 hours per week, between the hours of 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern. So we're super flexible. So if you want to give a chunk of time either in the morning or the afternoon, we have a lot of military spouses. We actually hired over 300 in the last year that they typically get stationed, overseas. Every 2 years. They change locations, and we're able to work with them, as long as they are able to still support our U.S. business hours. Our company, we've always been virtual. This is not due to COVID. We've actually tripled the amount of teachers we've hired in the past year, and we are looking to again triple our growth within the next school year. When I started about a year and a half ago, we were hiring about 60 teachers a year, and now we're about 3 to 350 a month. So a lot of growth there as far as our certified teaching roles. Elevate K-12 is changing the way classrooms look through live online real-time instruction to those K-12 schools. Our 2 main focuses are to give students the best quality instructors and to create job opportunities. Currently, we have certified teaching roles in quite a few different subjects. So we have math, science, Spanish, social studies, English, German, French, American Sign Language, physical education, art, music, and computer science. Those virtual teaching jobs are all posted currently. We also have many virtual tutoring roles as well that do not require U.S. state certification. However, they do require a bachelor's degree and the passing of an online assessment, depending on what subject level it is, whether it's math, Spanish, or English. We're also looking to add additional programs this year, and those are to be determined. We're kind of working on that in the back end right now. So, more to come on that. Little kind of a special surprise that we're going to probably have to announce over the summer. Elevate K-12, we're tasked with an important mission, changing the way K-12 classrooms and teaching work. Our organization is radically open-minded company, and we are scaling super fast. Elevate K-12 is in a stage of hypergrowth that we will continue to open up new challenges and opportunities for our team. So now I have a little bit of a slide to present to you just about kind of some of our programs and the background and kind of some of the teaching benefits of working for Elevate K-12. So let me share my screen here. Okay, everyone can see my screen? Okay, great. See some thumbs up. So again, our Elevate Live platform, basically this is our proprietary system. It's almost like a Google Meets or Zoom on steroids. There's the raise your hand feature, there's the chat rooms, there's public chats, there's private chat. So if you have like maybe a shy student, you want to chat with them one-on-one and not in like the whole bigger classroom setting. Our classrooms are typically about 25 students in size. We try to max out at 30 if needed, but sometimes depending on the school and where the school is located, they can be, as small as 10 to 15, depending on what subject level it is too. Sometimes like American Sign Language or French, they sometimes don't have as large of a turnout as maybe our Spanish class or just our math classes in general. But the Elevate Live platform, we also have the breakout session rooms. There's a whiteboard featured like right in the platform. So instead of having, I have other teachers that work for other schools, and when they were virtual, they had to, do their presentation in a PowerPoint or on a, even just Google Google Meet or something else, and drag it into their actual presentation. And with us, the whiteboard, it makes it super easy that you can just like kind of scratch out your math problem right there. All of our presentations are already made for all of our teachers up front. So there's nothing that our teachers have to do. We have a whole content team that manages all of those presentations. So um, you really just get to show up and do what you love, which is teach. So the platform, it has polls already built in. There's questions of kind of like the agenda for the day. You'll also have a supervisor that is over you as well, so that they can help out at any time. And they only have 10 to 15 teachers that they manage at any time. So not that it's a one-on-one type of scenario, but you do have that personalized touch of anyone that you do have questions, especially our newer teachers. And we do have mentor programs as well. So a little bit about us. We are very mission driven. That's why our CEO, Shaylee Barnwell, she's a female. She's been amazing. She's in our office all the time here. We're headquartered in Chicago, but really wanted to make sure that we're bringing equity to education. We're super flexible. So I said the hours 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern, but you can virtually teach anywhere from any time. Being passionate, that's something that we're looking for in our teachers. We don't necessarily need any classroom experience or virtual teaching experience. We just want the students, or the teachers that are passionate about teaching those students, and not having to focus on administrative duties or anything as far as the grading or anything that's kind of handled by either our classroom coach or the supervisor. Making a difference, again, like we are typically in very rural or very urban communities where the students are maybe not getting as much of a focus, where if their teacher quits throughout the semester, they typically have a sub the rest of the time. So being able to come in there and make a difference and really showcase that we're a certified teacher and we're not just a sub taking the place of that teacher for the school district. They'll see us in, and I did send out an email to everyone. I don't know if you were able to see that video, but where there's actually a projector where the students see the teacher up on the screen. Our platform is a split screen, so the teacher doesn't need dual monitors. She can see all of the content that she's given for the day and the students in the same one computer screen. And then we install a camera in the corner of the classroom so the teacher can see the students at the whole time. So it's not just a virtual or asynchronous learning. It's all kind of synchronous, face to face, where the students are actually raising their hand and asking questions, or if they do need to be virtual for whatever reason, they're at their home, still same thing, raising their hand, asking questions. Care about your development. We do have professional learning days, and our whole content team and academic team that really focus on making sure that our teachers themselves are developing and can just their ongoing learning, where if they have any questions or they want to work on anything specifically, we've brought in like professional public speakers or just kind of people that have talked about how to have like a great Zoom presence and what colors to wear and what backgrounds and the lighting and all of that. Also, just the typical kind of actual academic things of how to use our platform, where to go for help, any technical questions. They make sure that's all covered with that ongoing learning for all of our virtual teachers. And then being innovative and bold. I mean, just as a company, we're only 7 years old. So being like synchronous learning, making sure that this is something coming for years to come, that we're going to be able to use this. That's something that's really big for us. So as far as what we're looking for, so a bachelor's degree is required. The teaching certificate, that is required too for our certified roles. Again, like I mentioned, we do have our tutoring roles that do not require the teaching certificate if you're still working on that, but it would require that bachelor's degree and the passing of an online assessment. Previous classroom experience, that's nice to have, but we don't require it. We have actually found that a lot of our brand new teachers that, right away when they get their certification, they are they're very much like a sponge. They want to soak up as much as that we can give them. They're very technology savvy, which, we're not looking for anyone that's like a super techie, but we do require someone that, is able to use the features as far as the mic and the screen if needed. And then as far as availability, now we are flexible, but we are looking for someone that can take, a chunk of time either in the morning or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are in the world. But we do look for that native availability during class hours. We don't have any after school programs. So even though we say the 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern, it's really because we do have programs on the West Coast Pacific time where 6 p.m. Eastern is really only 3 p.m. for them. So that's why we're able to be flexible for those hours because we do have programs now in 27 or 28 different states. Um, and then just having a strong personality, we want someone that, you will have a classroom coach that's kind of like that paraprofessional to answer anything that's tangible in the actual classroom. But, want someone that is able to have their presence and, be able to just talk to their students and call on them. And if there's anything that needs to be handled, either working with the classroom coach on the back end or directly with the class, depending on what the situation is. Virtual experience is a plus, but again, not necessary. So we know that a lot of people, if they have been teaching, they kind of were forced to due to COVID for the last 2 years. But again, we found that we have some really great teachers that are brand new that got, their teaching certificate right away. And, they've been great in our classrooms because we have a full training program that is 3 hours of actual online modules. And then there's actual like real life sessions with some of our supervisors that go over everything and kind of like test the learning and the content knowledge for that. The passion for helping students. I think that's kind of self-explanatory. I think that's something that everyone that's looking to become a teacher kind of has, but we'd like to put that on there too. As far as some of our benefits and perks, so at this point, all of our roles are part-time roles as independent contractors, which means that you would not be eligible for any of our company full-time benefits. But as far as some of our perks is just as a part-time teacher, and again, we're not really trying to replace any of the full-time teaching roles. We know that there are great teachers in the classrooms all across the world, really. This is more of a role where, if someone has to, either take care of their own children or elderly parents, or maybe they are really entrepreneurial and they want to design this new product and they just can't commit to a full-time job, but they can work a couple hours a day. That's kind of the market that we're trying to create these jobs for. Being a full-time teacher with all those benefits, it's amazing. They really do take care of those full-time teachers. But again, we're trying to really create this niche of jobs that are for people that aren't necessarily able, for whatever personal reasons they have, to work a full-time job. And again, also completely 100% remote. We would never ask to go into a classroom or anything. We have teachers that teach all across the country or world, depending on where they are. But the work 100% remotely, that's one of the benefits. The professional development that I mentioned, that's on a at least monthly basis with your supervisor, and then also the academic team. They have like large Google Meets based off of subject level, class level, and kind of other interests of what you're looking to get out of the professional learning days that they have. Um, Flexible schedule. Again, we're looking for like that consistent Monday through Friday availability because about 90% of our programs do run Monday through Friday, just like a normal school schedule would. We have a couple here and there where, maybe the program will be Monday through Thursday, where Friday the school is doing like a study hall day or something. But again, 90% of our programs do run Monday through Friday availability. Competitive compensation. This is listed. We are very open about it in every single one of our job postings. So that will be in the bottom of the job description for depending on what subject level it is and what certification. It is all listed as far as the compensation there. College tuition discounts. So we do have some partnerships with some, which is, this is not reimbursement, but it's a discount upfront for a couple of the schools that we have partnered with over the past year. The virtual social hours, these are completely optional, but we do kind of have them where teachers can get together. We've done trivia nights, we've done bingo. I posted one that was like a giving like a cooking class where people can share their family famous recipes. I put together a recipe book afterwards and shared it out with the team. And then the training and tools, like we really want to make sure that you have everything that you need to be successful. So that's something that's like really big and important that we want to share with all of our teachers too. As far as engagement, we're doing these check-ins either for the first month every week with your supervisor, and then it will go into a monthly schedule with them, or it's as needed. But there's a team newsletter that kind of does any shout outs for the month the academic team builds out. They celebrate different birthdays, any promotions that we've had. We really try to promote from within for all of our supervisory roles and our mentor roles. The professional learning days, that's really big. People really do like those. Those are paid as well. The monthly recognition and awards. So anything that, we've gotten great feedback from a specific school district, we like to call that out just so that everyone is aware of, anything that's going on in the school that our principals or, superintendents have called out to us. We've been featured, even some of those teachers, in different local news. So, we always like to give those shout outs if that has happened. And then we have an annual virtual summit every year in May, where it's kind of like kind of almost a big virtual party, but kind of just the celebrations of the year, kind of some just wins in general, and going over all the academic side of what we've kind of done and summary of it for the past year. Professional learning, kind of mentioned this, but getting into just how you can do better public speaking, being engaging, commanding the classroom if you had any issues with it, being able to learn from some of the teachers that more tenured with Elevate, getting into that. The curriculum education, we try to make sure that getting as far as we can't really do any actual updates to your certification. So that would be in charge of you, but we do fully reimburse and give bonuses for any reciprocity that we ask you to go through, which is meaning that you would get a state certification once you already have one to get it in another state. So we would fully help with that as far as the bonuses and reimbursement for whatever you do pay out of pocket. And this was the demo that I already had shared out via email. So that should be in, if you got a chance to see it already. I know I got some emails on Handshake. So it's about a 3-minute video. I'll send it out to everyone later today or tomorrow as well. But it's about a 3-minute video. So I definitely encourage you to go view that. It kind of just shows how that Elevate Live platform works. So again, you can see the teacher on the screen and then the content, and that's what the teacher would see as well. But the teacher would actually see the students because the camera would be up in the corner of the classroom, kind of like that, being able to give the high bird's level view of all of the students in the classroom. Okay, so I'm gonna open it up for questions.
So, BYU.
I heard someone go off mute, but now I can't hear you. And if anyone wants to type questions in, I'm happy to answer them via the chat too. I have the chat open, so if that's easier for people, if it's maybe a little loud where you are, if you're not on camera, happy answer. So, okay, we see our first question coming in. So the application process, good question. So it's a 2-part process. Once you apply, which is, it's via Greenhouse, it's very easy. It's probably one of the easiest applicant tracking systems I've worked with even on my end of the 12 years. No username and password. You really just have to answer a couple of our basic questions, attach your resume and your teaching certification if you are applying for the virtual certified teaching roles. And then once you apply, our recruiting team would invite you to a 30-minute virtual interview. So that's more of just kind of giving, again, a synopsis, kind of what I just went over, but typically we don't do a lot of these events. So They'll go over it again as far as the company, making sure that you're, aware of the hours, going over what your availability would be, um, and then, just talking about what your background is, whether you're new to teaching or, we have a lot of retired teachers that come back that, love retirement for a couple months. And then after that, they just realize that they're pretty bored and they want to work for at least a couple of hours a day and they miss their students. So that would be something that, we have a lot of those teachers coming back. But once you get through that 30-minute virtual recruiter interview, then we would recommend you for a live assessment, the second step. So that is with one of our supervisors where they are playing the role of the student and you're playing the role of the teacher where you're presenting the 5 or 6 slides that we've emailed out at least a day ahead of time. And you are presenting those slides to that supervisor playing the role of the student. Now, we tell you very much beforehand that we are not checking for content knowledge. We are, taking that you're a fully certified teacher. We're not trying to second guess that by any means, but we are checking for engagement. So we're not wanting anyone to turn it into a lecture or, use different slides because they didn't like the ones that we provide. Again, these are just like kind of a couple of the ones depending on what subject level you're at. So, maybe if you're a math 6 through 12 certification, you can let us know whether you prefer the middle school or high school. That would be in the recruiter interview. And then based off of that, our live assessor, that hiring manager, would send out those slides, and then you would just do the presentation of those 5 or 6 slides, and that's about a full half hour. So they ask, if you have any questions, kind of go over anything else, and at that point, then they would make the recommendation for either a hire, and then they would send that to me for the approval. But it's really just those 2 steps. So typically, someone will get through it on an average of 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what their availability is to interview. And but I really make sure that my team is available, where to get someone through the process as quickly as the candidate wanted to, because we are hiring still quite a bit still for this school year, the 2021-2022 school year. And in about 2 weeks, we'll be posting for the 2022-2023 school year. Okay, next question I see. Do we have summer classes that are taught? So we do, but we do not have as many as we have of the normal school year. So we typically give all of those programs to our current teachers, so we don't hire externally for just the summer programs. That's something that we really want to give the opportunity to all of our current teachers, because if they're needing the extra money, or they just want to keep going throughout the year, they would be all brand new programs for just summer school. So that's again where I think the state of New York actually went through end of June, like I think June 27th last year was our last actual day of our certified teaching. But we do have summer programs that are just for the summer. And then depending on the state, like I know Georgia started as early as the end of July. So there's really not too much drop off of our normal school year, but we did have some just summer programs. But again, we give those priority to our current teachers. Now, I can say, as we grow, we might need to hire for just the summer in the future. But even at this point, for this current summer that's coming up in about 2 months, we probably will be just hiring from our current teacher pool. Where can we apply or submit a resume? So I can put that in the chat, our website, and I did email it out to everyone too on Handshake. Okay, so I just included that, but it's www.elevatek12.com/careers. Okay, next question. Are tutors teaching individual students or one-on-one? That's a good question. So the tutoring programs, these are more of our programs that are intervention programs. So it's pulling the students out of their classroom that are maybe falling behind. So maybe they're getting pulled out of their music class or art class, and they're getting more help in math or in English, or just something in general. So for those programs, they're typically about less than 10 students. Again, we've had some that have maybe, depending on what the school needs were. And again, we're not a school ourselves, so we really just try to do as much as we can to what the school is looking for. So sometimes the school has said, I think we've had classes as big as 15 to 20, but on average, they're about 10 students for those smaller classes for the tutoring roles. Okay, next question. Do we hire year round or only at the start of the year? Nope. So this is definitely all year round. We're still hiring about 300. Even this is our slowest month right now, and we're still hiring about 300 a month. So we have new programs almost every single week that come in. I mean, right now it's about every other week, but throughout the whole school year, and I've now gone through 2 whole school years with Elevate. Programs are every single week. And this is, again, just due to the needs of the school districts. So we have had a lot of students, or sorry, a lot of teachers that have quit or retired in the middle of the year, and they're able to come to us instead of having to run the program with the sub the rest of the year. We can come in and within a 2 week time span, install our equipment, get them a teacher, and get them all situated with the classroom coach and kind of where they left off and kind of fit them in. So at that point, then our teachers would be coming in and actually with those students right away. Okay, can you work in multiple states at once? Yeah, we have a lot of teachers that do that, especially the ones that are, really looking to add those certifications to their resume and they're going through multiple states for reciprocity, which again, we fully reimburse for anything that you pay out of pocket. And then each of our programs offer bonuses to go through the completion. So if we, let's say, have you go through 3 different states of reciprocity, which you already have one teaching certification, so you're adding these additional 3 to be a total of 4, we would pay 3 additional bonuses for each of those states reciprocity. So there's some people that maybe don't want to go through it for whatever reason and they want to stay teaching in their specific state. Um, we're right now in 28 states, so there's already a majority that you're most likely going to be in one of the states that we're already teaching in. But yeah, we do have a lot of teachers that really enjoy adding those different, certifications and being able to have that availability. Then, if they do want to move ever to South Carolina and they're in North Dakota now and they want some nice weather, that we would, pay for that certification. And then, if you decide after maybe the kids are grown, getting back into full-time teaching, then you can take that certification. We don't hold it or anything. It's yours to keep. So if you are then looking to move, you can definitely do that. So I think that's maybe a reason why some teachers want to purposely get the multiple certifications. But yeah, we present as many programs, and it's kind of up to you on which ones you want to choose. So kind of in that allocation process, once you make it through the interview process, the allocation team reaches out to you kind of in the format of, hey, we have Jefferson Middle School. It's a grade 8 math program. It's periods 1 through 4 from 8 a.m. to noon. Would you like to accept all of these, some of these, or none of these? And you can say, yeah, I can do all 4. That's great. Or you can say, I can do the first 2 or the last 2. Or, maybe something changed with your availability and you say, like, actually, I can only work, after 12 to 4 p.m. or something. You can give them that and they can update that availability. So we really try to encourage to not, change your availability too much because we want to be able to reach out to you with as many programs as possible, just so that if you are looking to have a full schedule, we can get you that. But that's kind of the process of allocation. Do you need a cert? Okay, can you? Sorry, missed one. Do you need a certification in each state you teach? So depending on the school and what their requirements are, again, we just work with what they direct us to. We cannot make really any exceptions. So it's about, I think when I ran the numbers last, about 65% of our programs do require a specific state certification. So which in that case, that's why we would pay for you to go through reciprocity and give you those bonuses. But we do have a lot of states that don't necessarily care that it's a specific state certification. They just want you to have, a state certification. So if you, for some of our schools in Illinois, which actually is happen to be where I am and where we're headquartered, we have some schools that, they don't require an actual Illinois state certification, but it's for a, let's say, 6th grade science program. They just want some type of sixth grade science certificate for any other state. So they wouldn't make it, if you only have a K through 4 or K through 5 cert, we can't make that exception. But as long as you have something for 6th grade and science, then they could work with that and they wouldn't require any reciprocity depending on what program. But again, it's kind of on a case by case basis, which we would be very upfront with in when you're accepting that program when it's presented to you. Okay, question of which states are you providing teachers for? So I know it's 28 different states. I probably could name almost all of them, but I know kind of where we're heavy in programs, where we've kind of started is South Carolina, Texas, Georgia. We just added Florida this year. Um, I mean, we added New York, Illinois. We're kind of still growing in the kind of West and Pacific coast. So those two time zones, Mountain Standard and PST, are kind of where we still are growing. But we do have programs, I know, in Washington State, Arizona. We're not in California. Um, we're not in Utah. We are in Nevada. So, I mean, yeah, 28 states of the 50. So, and we're probably going to grow to, I'm going to guess over the next school year, over 30 for sure. I mean, as of this time last year, we were only in, I think, 14. So, just grown a lot, just year over year. What educational standards do your team base their materials on? So they go based off of the state requirements. So I know Texas has very specific ones that we mirror the requirements for. I don't really, I mean, I hire the content team, but I don't really work too much on what their specific requirements are for each state. But I know that that's all part of our sales process before we even put a teacher into the program, is that the sales process before we sell to that specific school district and that superintendent is they go over what our content and our curriculum that we have available. And then they can kind of choose, because I know I have heard in some of my meetings that um, in Georgia, their ELA class for seventh grade, it's more of a English literature, which we don't have that for seventh grade, but we have an English literature for eighth grade. So they can kind of cafeteria style plan, pick and choose what content they want, and then we build those slides and the content for that class depending on what the school needs, and then they look over it and review it one last final time before we would ever ask someone to teach that. But that's all handled way before we even look for teachers to fill it. That's handled on the sales side of it way early. Okay, how many hours does a typical teacher put in per week? So we do have some numbers that we try to get some data in on this. Um, a lot of the time it does really depend on what the certification level is that the teacher has. For example, 95% of our programs are at the sixth grade level and above. We do have some at the elementary level, but a lot of them are really for those middle school and high school classes. And then of just the middle school and high school breakdown, it's about 60-40. So 60% high school and 40% middle school. So if someone has a certificate for, for a high school level class and they have a pretty open availability, they're more likely to get, close to that max of the 30 hours. Where we pay an hourly rate and then 20% admin time on top of that. And that's really just to like have your one-on-one weekly meeting with your supervisor for their first month, or, after that on a monthly basis, any check-ins that you might need to do. We are not looking for someone to be available, by any means out of the hours that you're actually teaching. But just if you ever need to be, like, we do give that kind of cushion so that you're able to, get paid if you do need to check an email or anything like that. But you're fully paid for not just the class time, but for whatever time you're in the portals. We ask that you're logged in, 10 to 15 minutes early before the class. Maybe it's like a minute or two if there's questions from the students afterwards, but no matter what, you're paid for all of that. So as far as the hours, I mean, average, I think our numbers say that it's about 20 hours that our teachers, and right now we have about 1,000 teachers working for us. That's kind of the average. But, when someone tells us that, whether they're available the full kind of 8 to 6 hours that we ask for, or if they say, oh, well, I really only want to try it out, or I have a lot of other stuff going on and I can only get help from my mother, with my baby for, the first 2 hours in the morning. So I can only teach for those 2 hours. That's, fine, but then that's going to kind of bring down the average of where, their availability. So it's not that we're not able to give them the hours, it's that they're not wanting the hours. So that's where, again, we're trying to be very flexible, but, since it is as a independent contracting position, we can't promise the amount of hours, but I will say that if you have more availability, and then if you have the certifications for those like middle school or high school level courses, that would definitely help. Math is also about 30% of all of our programs. So that's one like very big area of focus. Spanish is about 20%, and science is about 20%. So those are our three biggest areas, which coincidentally are also not so coincidentally, but those are also the three biggest areas of programs across the country that are just really underserved and you know the highest levels of unemployment for all of those roles across the country. Those are our three biggest areas that we're able to help with. But then we do have American Sign Language and French programs, and there's not as many of those teachers really across the country, but they still account for about 5 to 6% of our programs. So we definitely still have those. Okay, another question about the average amount of hours, but it's for the tutor. So the tutoring programs, because they're the intervention programs, they always, and this is in the job description, each one is very open about what the hours would be, but the tutoring typically is, they can be a Monday through Friday schedule, or sometimes the tutoring, because they're getting pulled out of those other classes, maybe it's only a couple times a week. So it could be like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday class, or Tuesday, Thursday, or something along those lines. But those are kind of the three biggest buckets of hours, or those three areas. And then as far as amount of hours, I'd say it's a little bit less, maybe like 15 on average. But again, it's because a lot of our tutors are students that are, still going to school and getting their master's, or they have other stuff going on that they don't exactly have, the teaching certificate, but they're able to do this tutoring if they pass the assessment. Okay, is Ohio one of the states that we service? Yes. So that is one that was added in the last year. So, yep, that's one of them. Special ed programs, that's the next question. Well, we are looking to grow that possibly this year. I know that we're still in very much the exploration phase. I heard actually in some meetings this morning that some of our leadership, they're traveling across the country. One was like she missed my meeting with her, but she was on a plane to Arizona to kind of look into some of those programs with them. Our CEO last week was in some meetings down in, I think it was South Carolina or Georgia, exploring that. So we are very much looking into that, but we also don't want to roll out anything, you know, halfway or anything. We want to make sure that we exactly know what the requirements would be, what the school would want from us, and then, make sure that we can have that virtual relationship too, because it's definitely a big need across the country, but we want to make sure that we do it right, like our other programs. So we are exploring that. So more to come, but that will be posted in our job descriptions, and we'll probably give out kind of like some marketing emails in all of our social media, which are some of our marketers and the marketing team for LinkedIn posts, Facebook, Instagram. I know that they're really big in the last month on TikTok now too. So they'll definitely be posting about special ed or anything else. So definitely encourage kind of checking out some of those avenues if you want. So we reimburse the cost of certification exams as well. So if it's required to go through reciprocity, I know some states, as much as I would wish it was all the same, some states require different types of tests depending on, in addition, even though you might have your state certification is great in one state, but they might not acknowledge and recognize it perfectly in another state, depending on what the education level is. And a lot of different factors are part of that, which it's so nuanced state by state level. So the short answer is yes, if it's something that we are asking you to do to go through reciprocity, we would fully pay for those certification exams and those practice exams. But if it's something that you're just wanting to get on your own because you want to get certified in, let's say, Italian, and at this point we don't offer Italian classes, maybe in the next year or two, but right now we don't. That would be something that we would not reimburse if it's something that you're wanting to do on your own. But again, if we ask you to do it, then we would. Are we in Alaska? So, yep, that's one of the states that we're not in yet. So that's kind of on that coast where we're still kind of broadening out into. So we might be getting there at some point, but at this point, no, that is not one of them, unfortunately. I have one of my recruiters is from there, so I work with her very closely. But yeah, and she has a teaching certification for Alaska. Okay, is it all middle schools and high schools, or do you guys work with elementary schools as well? So yeah, I did answer this, but about 5% of our programs are at the elementary level. So there's not many. We actually had some virtual schools that were developed last year in Georgia, and those were some of our elementary programs that we offered that were completely virtual schools that they never go into the school. So those were some of our elementary programs. But again, it's about 95% of our programs are at the sixth grade through 12th grade level. And then about 60% of those are at the high school level and 40 for middle school. So we do have some at elementary, but depending on what state you're certified in, elementary, I've seen typically it's about 50-50 whether elementary is a K through 5 or K through 6. I know some states, not a ton, do have a K through 8 as elementary. So with that, we would, as long as you're comfortable teaching math or science or English or something that, that would be covered for that general cert for one of our other states that, you would be able to teach that middle school class, that would be fine. But yeah, if you do have, unfortunately, like a K through 5 certificate, it really would limit the amount of programs. And we actually didn't have to post for that this entire year. So, I mean, that might be something that we grow and do more of in the future. But as far as the planning, even for this next school year, 2022, 2023, we're not really looking to add more elementary programs. But if you do have like a K through 6 or K through 8, we would encourage you to still apply to the programs that we have. We do have lots of sixth grade programs in math and in science. So, and those are also, as far as the requirements, what certification level, it's in all the job descriptions. So we ask for like for an ELA cert, if you're interested in that ELA class, we would ask for your cert to be at the 7th grade level and above, which isn't mentioned in the job description, but then for like math and science, it does state 6th grade or above. Okay, as an independent contractor, does that mean 1099 form at the end of the year for taxes? So yes, it does. So that is, if you're not familiar with 1099 or independent contracting, it basically means that you're not a W-2 employee, so you're paid in full every month. All of our employees, even our full-time employees, are paid monthly. And then your taxes are not taken out on a monthly basis or anything, where typically you see like a portion and a very large chunk, depending on what state you're in, taken out. So that is not what is handled for independent contracting, but then it would be up to you to report that to the IRS at the end of the year. Would we pay for national board certification? So again, if this is something that is required for reciprocity and we ask for it, we would, but nothing that would be additional for, if, just on your own, if you're looking to get that. How much of the curriculum is provided or would be creating all of the lesson plans for our class? So 100% is, I kind of covered this, but yeah, 100% of the curriculum is provided. Our content team is constantly updating and kind of revitalizing all of our programs and making sure that it's staying like updated and just everything to, making sure that it's, with the times. So there would be nothing that you would have to do. It's really just showing up and teaching. We actually don't even give you the content. I think you're allowed to see it like maybe an hour before, but we really don't encourage our teachers to like log on and kind of, review it or spend time reviewing it, because it doesn't need to be, it's really written so that you can follow it on a, while you're actually teaching your class, so that you won't need to like be studying it the night before. We're really not wanting you to take this like a full-time role where you're taking that home at night and writing your content and developing the quizzes. All the quizzes are built into our Elevate Live platform. There's polls in there, so you can kind of test the students on how they're feeling, and kind of check for engagement there. And all of that stuff is built in, so we're not looking for anyone to do any kind of curriculum. Now, if you enjoy the curriculum side, we do post separately for the curriculum team. That will say does require a little bit more years of experience. I think they typically ask for, depending on the program, 5+ years of teaching experience, sometimes 7. And then we have like the curriculum advisory team. So then they look for, not just the content, but like writing the district-wide level and kind of being in a supervisory role at some point in the past as well. But they definitely, hire separately for that if that's kind of a passion of yours. We have some of our teachers that can kind of manage both, especially on like the language side, because they typically don't teach as much. If they're a French teacher, they'll kind of do the French teaching for us, and then they'll do the French content writing too. But we try to really separate it. But we do have some teachers that kind of just want both on those, and the content that can kind of be done out of school hours. So if you only had like a 3 hour window in the morning, but then your day is kind of flexible with different things going on, or especially if you're in a entrepreneurial and trying to design your own business, maybe the content is something that would be great for you to fit into your 2 or 3 hours of teaching, but you just can't commit to when you're going to write it. And as long as you kind of commit those and meet those weekly deadlines, that's fine for the curriculum team. Okay, so I guess more of a comment than a question, but Texas has a EC through 6 certification. So yeah, like if you had that and you're comfortable teaching math or science, then we would encourage you to apply to one of those. But yeah, again, most of our programs are at the kind of 6th through above level. Are there remote positions for curriculum development? I guess I didn't cover that specifically. So yes, all the curriculum writer positions, those are all under me. So they're all 1099 independent contractor roles too, but they're all 100% remote. Our supervisory and like the kind of management of them, they all sit in our Chicago office. So I see them every week, but the actual writers, they're all virtual, and some are, not even in the country, but in other countries. So those are definitely 100% remote. We're not asking for anyone to be near Chicago or anything. Okay. Still in the program with WGU, can I do preclinical observations with Elevate? So we are looking into piloting some programs like this with WGU and maybe some other schools. They're, again, because we're not a school, we are looking to kind of get some of those privacy guidelines because, again, working with students, there's a lot kind of behind the scenes of either getting the school to sign off on a specific classroom or get all of the parents to sign off on the privacy, so like that the if they're not an actual Elevate employee, being able to go through and kind of be like in a TA type of situation where I mean, this isn't really part of my kind of job, but I have heard of it in some of our monthly meetings that we are looking at doing that. But yeah, at this point, we don't have that in place, but it's definitely something that we want to as we do more of these partnerships and grow, because we want to be able to give you guys those observations so that we can then hire you right away once you get that certificate in hand. But yeah, right now we don't do them. But it would probably consist of something like kind of still kind of quote unquote hiring you on, running a background, being able to, have all those ducks in a line, and then presenting that to the school, and, then it would probably be fine. But right now, yeah, we're just kind of going through all of that legal stuff with our HR team. Okay, how do vacations work during the school year? Are you going to do a set schedule every week for several months? So yeah, you'll typically get a program presented to you in that email where they'll tell you kind of, I gave the example of the Jefferson School programs 1 through 4 from 8 a.m. to noon. They will tell you at that point, like whether it's just for the semester or if it's for the entire school year. A lot of them will be for the school year, but we do have some programs, especially like science programs or computer science, or sorry, in Spanish, that will just be for a semester. Now, a lot of the time that school renews with us, and then you would maybe, have even that same time slot, maybe different students. I know like a lot of Spanish programs, it'll be Spanish level 1 for semester 1, and then maybe Spanish level 2 for semester 2. Or so it could be that as an option where you maybe have the same students, or it could be that the Spanish one is only for semester one, and then you'd have a different set of students for semester two. So there's kind of those different things that we work with on each different case by case level with each school. Again, we're doing over 1,000 different programs, so it's a lot of different programs that we're offering. So can't really speak to them as a whole. But as far as vacations, yeah, we realize that people go on vacation. So we do have a whole sub pool that I hire for separately that can work either last minute if something happens and you need to call off. We have like the last minute subs. We also have like a planned sub where you know that you're going to be on vacation for a week, or something's going on and we need to get a sub. We just ask that you give us as much of a heads up as possible, but we realize like things do come up, on a case by case basis too. And then I guess, the only other thing I can kind of think of is you would work that school schedule. So some schools, depending on like what they do for winter break, you might, if you're on 3 different programs, let's say, your winter break could start 3 different times depending on what school it is and what state they're in. Also into that, like the end date, we have some schools that end in May, and schools like school and June 22nd. And as far as our school in some of our schools in Georgia started end of July, and then again those New York schools didn't start until after Labor Day. And then I think there was even some other issues with, not because of our programs, but due to they actually delayed that, where some of our schools actually didn't start until like September 15th. So it really depends on the state and what they do, and we try to do our best to partner with whatever their needs are. But again, we're just usually a couple programs of their whole statewide or program and district wide curriculum. So we just try to kind of mend with what they're already doing. But yeah, on a program in Georgia, like this semester, half of your classes might end in May and the other half might go until June. And you would know that as you accept them. Like, if we presented them to you a couple months ago, you would know that ahead of time. But yeah, like again, it's really, there's no nationwide kind of like set schedule or anything for them. Okay, you're in the MAT MATSPED, and I'm not sure which program that is with WGU, but student teaching. So yeah, kind of cover this. At this point, we're not doing any student teaching. We are looking to explore that as we're growing, because I think that's a really great partnership to be able to hire students right as soon as they graduate. But yeah, right now we are not doing that. But I know our HR and curriculum and academic team, those three hand in hand right now to work on that in the next year. Okay, we ran out of questions. We have a couple minutes left. Anyone else want to add anything before we wrap up?
This has been very helpful. Thank you so much for giving us all of this information.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. We hope to see everyone's applications. Again, I'll put it in the chat because it did get kind of buried in, but I'll put our website. Again, it's www.elevatek12.com/careers. And right now, we're still hiring because we got new programs even this week. So we're still hiring for this year right now. I know as of last year, we still got new programs in for those New York schools. They were kind of really missing some deadlines, so they asked us to help out in, I think it was like middle of May until the end of their year, which then was the June 27th. So we're still getting programs even this late in the year, but in 2 weeks we'll be posting all of our 2022-2023 school year jobs. So definitely keep a lookout for all of those, but and they'll be very clearly listed in the title of what school year you're applying to. But we're looking at, kind of before we post them, some increase in the hourly pay rate and bonuses and different things. So that will be all fully in there by the time they're approved, and then I'll get them posted in about 2 weeks.
Katie, I was just wondering, how personal do you get with the students? Like the person in the classroom that is kind of co-teaching or co-hosting with you, how well do you get to know the kids? And when you're working with them, do you get a little bit of background? Are you co-teaching, or are you presenting the material straight up and then you're done? Just wondering.
Yeah, good question. So with the classroom coach, they're hired directly by the school. So they're like the full-time employees, they're the paraprofessional. So they're going to be like your partner. So like they're going to help with the grading, they're going to hand out anything. If there's any issues with the class, like they're going to get the class to settle down, depending on like what level of student they are. So they really become like a partner to you, and kind of like I don't want to say they work for you, but like they kind of have to do what you say. But a lot of them, I've observed a lot of class time, and a lot of them almost become friends, and like they kind of even, we use Google, so like they G chat each other, and like just funny memes and different things, and they become kind of friends. And then as far as with the students, I'd say that also kind of is based off of if you have them for the whole school year, or if you're coming in like, for the last, the 11th hour, because New York is they're falling behind, and their French teacher quit, and now their sub doesn't know what they're doing. So they're like, okay, what else can we do? And they hire us. So they probably didn't get as great of a experience as someone that was with that classroom, like a math, like the core classes, math, science, social studies, ELA. Like you'll probably have that class for the entire year, unless it's like a social studies, US history is one semester, and another semester is, state history. I can see that kind of as an example, but you typically have them for the entire year. So those relationships grow a lot more. I mean, I know our teachers really don't want to be switched onto a different program, especially like because our class sizes, they're not huge college lectures. They're, you know, 30 at a very much max, because that's what our platform handles. And we found like that's like the sweet spot of like not going over that, because anything over that, the teacher isn't able to call on the students as much, and students can kind of just like not pay attention in class, and no one would maybe notice, kind of like that college classroom. But yeah, the average of like the 20 to 25 students, there's a lot more where they know that, one of their students, let's call him Michael, they'll use Michael as an example, and they'll say like, well, hey, Michael, you said last week you had 2 dogs, so now we're going to do a math equation. So Michael, your 2 dogs, you add a 3rd dog. Next week your parents, approve, and they say you can get a 3rd dog. What does that equal? Now this is very, very basic math. I'm just trying to think of a quick example, but I've watched those classes where they're actually incorporating like the students and the information that the students have given them at some other point, and they really get to know their class. And I think that's why like the teachers really enjoy having it for like that entire year. A lot of our competitors, where you kind of have to kind of create your own business, and you might have 10 classes this week, but then it's tutoring, and you don't have anyone the following week, where we really try to pride ourselves on like you'll have those same students the entire then like school year, or depending on the semester or whatever. But even at the whole semester level, that's still, good 4 or 5 months with them. Good question. All right, well, we're right at the hour, so depending on where you are, but you have a great rest of your afternoon or great rest of your morning. But if you do have anything, I can put my email here in the chat, but I did email everyone out on Handshake. So if you want to check your Handshake account, you'll have my information there too, but I'll put my Elevate email address here.
Thank you, Katie, for coming today and presenting this information. Just a reminder to everyone, this was recorded, and the recording will be sent out probably later on today, if not tomorrow morning. So keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, it was nice meeting you all, but I did just put my email in the chat. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me directly. I know that a lot of the time I'll think of a question as soon as I hang up with someone, so feel free to reach out.